Stop for a second. The most dangerous weapon ever used against you was not a threat. It was a happy memory. Someone smiled and said, "Remember how good we used to be." And just like that, the problem you were about to name went quiet in your throat. You felt guilty for being unhappy. You felt crazy for wanting more. Tonight I am going to show you how your own best moments got turned into a cage, who does it, and how you walk out without setting fire to the past. Stay with me. This one lives in your chest. There is a kind of manipulation that never raises its voice. It does not insult you, it does not corner you, it does not slam a single door. Instead, it reaches back into the warmest room of your life, the room where the good memories live, and it turns that room into a courtroom, and you are the one on trial. They call it the good old days. They call it how happy we used to be. They call it after everything we have been through. And every time they say it, something in you softens and folds. Because those memories are real. You did laugh like that. You were happy back then. The photos are not fake. So when they hold up the past like evidence, you cannot argue with it. You lived it. That is the trap. This tactic does not lie about the past. It lies about what the past means. It takes something true and beautiful, and it bends it into a leash. It whispers that because things were once good, you have no right to say things are bad now. That naming today's pain is a betrayal of yesterday's joy. That your boundary is an insult to your own history. I call it nostalgia gaslighting. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You will hear it in your relationship. You will hear it at family dinners. You will hear it from an old friend, from a boss, from a voice in your own head. Over the next hour, I am going to walk you through exactly how it works, why it works on good and loyal people especially, and how you protect your peace without erasing one single real memory that you love. Because here is the truth I want you to carry the whole way through. A beautiful memory is not a debt, it is a gift. And a gift is never something you owe. Let me show you where it begins. It almost never begins as an attack. That is the first thing you have to understand, because you are waiting for the wrong signal. You are waiting for cruelty, and it arrives as tenderness. Picture this. You finally worked up the courage to say something honest. Maybe you told your partner that you feel lonely lately, that something between you has gone cold. Maybe you told your mother that the way she speaks to you hurts. Maybe you told a friend that you needed a little space. You said it carefully, you said it kind, and you braced yourself for the fight, but there is no fight. Instead, they go quiet. Their eyes get soft and a little wet, and they say in a gentle, wounded voice, "I just miss how we used to be. Do you remember our first year? Do you remember how happy we were? What happened to that person? What happened to us?" And feel what just happened inside you. A second ago, you were standing on solid ground. You had a real feeling and a real need. Now, suddenly, you are the one apologizing. You are the one who broke something. You are the one who has to prove you still love them, still care, still remember. Your honest sentence never got answered. It got buried under a photograph. That is how nostalgia gaslighting starts. Not with a no, with a memory. They do not deny your pain. They redirect your attention away from it, backward, into a warm and golden past where you cannot follow your own complaint. Because you cannot be angry and homesick at the same time. The homesickness always wins. And the reason it works so fast is that it feels like love. When someone recalls your best days together, part of you glows. Someone remembers. Someone treasures what you had. It does not feel like control. It feels like closeness. So your guard, which was up and ready for a battle, quietly comes down. You lean in toward the very thing that is disarming you. Here is the psychology underneath it. Your brain does not store the past like a video camera. It stores the past like a painter. Every time you remember a good moment, your mind touches it up, softens the edges, brightens the colors, and cuts out the boring and painful parts. Scientists call it rosy retrospection. The past almost always feels better in memory than it did in real life. That is normal, and on its own it is harmless. It is why we can forgive, why we can heal, why we can look back and smile. But a manipulator uses that same soft focus lens as a weapon. They point it at you and say, "Look how perfect we were," when the truth is that back then had its own cracks too. You just do not feel the cracks anymore. So when they hold up the golden version, you have nothing to hold up against it. You compare your painful present to an edited past, and of course the present loses. Of course you feel like the problem. And slowly, quietly, a rule gets written inside you that no one ever said out loud. The rule is this: if it was ever good, you are not allowed to say it is bad now. Sit with how heavy that rule is. It means you can never grow. You can never ask for more. You can never notice the slow leak in the boat, because someone can always point to the day the boat was new. Let me slow this down, because the first move is the one you almost always miss. It happens in the gap between your sentence and their answer. You expected a response to the thing you said. Instead, you got a door opening into another year, and in that half second, your attention got moved without your permission. You did not choose to go back to the good times. You were carried there. That is what makes it so hard to catch. It does not feel like being pushed. It feels like being invited home. And think about the timing of it. Notice when the good memories tend to show up. They rarely arrive when things are calm. They arrive at the exact moment you get honest. The exact moment you draw a line. The exact moment you say the word no. If someone only reaches for the golden past when you are asking for something in the present, that is not sentiment, that is strategy, even if they do not know they are doing it. Watch the timing, and the timing will tell you the truth. A memory that only appears to stop a conversation is not a memory. It is a wall with a photograph on it. There is a small girl I want you to picture, except she is not small. She is you as a grown adult, holding a single reasonable request in your open hand. And every time you lift that hand, a warm hand covers it and gently pushes it back down, and a soft voice says, "But look how far we have come." The request never even gets to be heard. It just keeps getting patted back into your pocket. That is the quiet violence of this. Nothing dramatic, just a need that never once gets to finish its sentence. So here is your first piece of defense, and it is small, but it changes everything. When someone answers your present pain with a past memory, notice the swap. Say to yourself quietly, "They did not respond to what I said. They changed the subject to a better year." The memory might be real. Your feeling right now is also real. Both can be true. You are allowed to have loved the past and still need something to change today. Now you might be thinking, but how do I actually catch it in the moment? What does it even sound like? Because it hides so well inside affection. In the next part, I am going to hand you the exact words, the phrases, the scripts. Once you hear them named out loud, you will never mistake them for love again. Let me give you the words, because a tactic you can name is a tactic you can survive. Nostalgia gaslighting has a vocabulary, and it is almost always dressed as sweetness. Listen for these. Remember when we were so happy? What happened to the girl I married? We used to be able to talk for hours, and now look at us. After everything we have been through together, I gave you the best years of my life. This family used to mean something. You have changed. Do you even remember who we used to be? Each of those sounds like heartbreak. And sometimes, from an honest person, it is. But watch what it does when it lands. It moves the spotlight off the present problem and onto your loyalty. It quietly puts you on trial for the crime of no longer being satisfied. It asks you to defend the fact that you have feelings today. Here is a scene. A man named David has been at the same company for 11 years. Lately, the pay stopped keeping up. The hours got longer, the respect thinned out, so he finally sits with his boss and asks about a raise, about balance, about a future. His boss leans back, sighs, and smiles a warm, sad smile. "David," he says, "do you remember when this place was just 6 of us in that tiny office? We were a family. We ate lunch on the floor because we had no chairs. We built this thing together, and now everybody just wants more, more, more. I never thought I would hear this from you, of all people." Notice, David never got an answer about money. He got a memory about chairs. And he walks out of that office feeling greedy, disloyal, ungrateful. He feels like he betrayed the tiny office. His real, reasonable question dissolved into a story about the good old days. That is nostalgia gaslighting in a workplace, and it saves companies millions in raises that never get paid. Now watch the same move at home. A woman named Priya tells her partner she feels invisible, that she has been carrying everything alone. He does not argue. He gets quiet, then says softly, "I remember our honeymoon. You looked at me like I hung the moon. Where did that woman go? I miss her." And suddenly Priya is not talking about the dishes or the loneliness anymore. She is grieving a version of herself and wondering if she is the one who ruined everything. Her complaint vanished. Now she is auditioning to be lovable again. Do you see the pattern under the words? It always follows the same shape. You raise a present problem, they raise a past paradise. You lose the thread of your own point. You end up comforting them, or defending yourself, or apologizing. The problem you brought never gets touched, and they get to keep everything exactly the way it is. There is one phrase that is the most dangerous of all, so mark it. After everything I have done for you. That single sentence takes your entire shared history, all the real kindness and real sacrifice, and converts it into a bill. It says love was a loan and now it is due. It turns yesterday's gift into today's chain. And this is exactly why I keep telling you what I am telling you. A beautiful memory is not a debt, it is a gift. And a gift is never something you owe. The moment someone hands you an invoice for their past affection, they have told you the affection came with a meter running. There is another phrase, family, you need to catch, and it hides as a compliment. You are not the person I fell in love with. You used to be so easygoing. I miss the old you. On the surface, these sound like longing. Underneath, they are instructions. They are telling you exactly who to become again if you want the warmth back. And notice what the old you always turns out to mean. It never means the version of you that had strong opinions or firm limits. It always means the version of you that asked for less, tolerated more, and made them comfortable. The old you they miss is simply the you that did not yet know how to say no. Let me give you one more scene, because this one is common and it is quiet. A young woman named Mia moves to a new city, grows, changes, becomes more sure of herself. She calls her childhood best friend to share her new life. And the friend, instead of celebrating, keeps steering every call back to who Mia used to be. Remember when you were shy? Remember when you needed me for everything? You are so different now, I do not even know you anymore. And Mia starts to feel guilty for growing. She starts to shrink herself on the phone, to act smaller, to become the girl her friend remembers, just to keep the peace. Her own growth got treated like a betrayal. That is nostalgia gaslighting between friends, and it punishes you for the crime of becoming more yourself. Here is the thing to understand about all these words. They are not really about the past at all. The past is just the costume. What they are actually about is stopping the present. Every one of these phrases has the same secret job, which is to make sure the conversation you started never reaches its end. Once you see that the memory is a costume worn by a refusal, you stop arguing with the costume. Here is how you defend against the words. Separate the feeling from the demand. When they say, "I miss how we used to be," you can honor the feeling and still refuse the demand hidden inside it. You can say, "I miss parts of it too, and I still need to talk about right now." Say it warm, say it steady. Do not take the bait to argue about the past, because the past is not the real subject. The real subject is the thing you are not allowed to bring up. Keep gently walking back to it. I hear that you miss it, and I still need us to look at today. Watch what happens when you do that. Often the softness drops, and something colder shows up underneath, because the tenderness was doing a job, and you just refused the job. That flicker, that quick shift from wounded to irritated when the memory does not work, that is one of the clearest tells you will ever get. But maybe you are wondering something deeper right now. Why does this work on me at all? I am not naive, I am not weak. So why does a simple happy memory shut me down so completely? The answer is buried in how your brain is built, and in the next part I am going to take you inside it. Because once you understand the machinery, you stop blaming yourself for being caught. Let me take you inside your own head, because you deserve to know why this hits so hard. Your mind is built for one thing above almost all others: story. You do not experience your life as a pile of random days. You experience it as a story with a beginning, a middle, and a you that stays the same person all the way through. That thread, that sense that today's you and yesterday's you are one continuous person, is precious to your brain. It protects it fiercely. Psychologists call it the need for a coherent self. You need your life to make sense as one story. Nostalgia gaslighting attacks you exactly there. When someone says, "Remember who we used to be," they are not just recalling a memory, they are grabbing the thread of your whole story and pulling. They are saying, the real story is back there, and everything since is a fall from it. And your brain, which craves that continuity, panics a little. It does not want to be the villain who left the good chapter behind. So it rushes to repair the story, and the fastest repair is to blame the present. To decide that you are the one who drifted, that you have to get back. There is a second machine at work, and its name is loyalty. You are wired to value consistency in yourself. If you cared about someone deeply for 10 years, your mind wants to keep that caring consistent, because turning against it feels like admitting the 10 years were a mistake, and nobody wants to believe they gave a decade to a mistake. So when a manipulator invokes the long history, they are leaning on your own honesty. You do not want to be a person who abandons what they loved. They know it. They use it. Your integrity becomes the handle they hold you by. And then there is the chemistry of nostalgia itself. When you sink into a warm memory, your body actually shifts. Nostalgia has been shown to make people feel warmer, more connected, more soothed. It literally calms the nervous system. So the moment they steer you into the golden past, your body relaxes, your defenses lower, and the sharp clarity you had a minute ago goes fuzzy and soft. You are being chemically sedated by your own good feelings. That is why you cannot hold your point. You are not weak. You are drugged, gently, by a memory. Let me put it in a scene. A man named Samuel grew up with a father who was hard, cold, sometimes cruel. But once a year, on a fishing trip, his father was warm, truly warm, laughing, present, kind. Those days were golden. Now Samuel is grown, and every time he tries to set a boundary with his father, to say that the cruelty still hurts, his father says, "But do you remember the lake? Do you remember us out on the water? We had some good times, son." And Samuel folds. Because the lake was real, the warmth was real, and his brain cannot hold both truths at once, that his father was both the man on the lake and the man who wounded him. So he clings to the lake and buries the wound, and the boundary never gets set. That is the cruelest part of the psychology. The better the good memory, the stronger the leash. A little bit of real warmth mixed into a lot of pain is more binding than either alone. It is called intermittent reward, and it is the most powerful conditioning there is. It is why people stay. Not because it was all bad, because it was sometimes unforgettably good. And that sometimes is enough to keep you reaching forever. There is one more piece of the machinery, and it may be the most important of all, because it explains why you doubt yourself. Your memory is not a recording. Every single time you remember something, you rebuild it from scratch, and in the rebuilding it can be changed. Psychologists have shown this again and again. A memory is not read like a file, it is reconstructed like a story, and whoever is talking to you while you reconstruct it can quietly edit it. So when someone insists over and over that the past was perfect, that you were always happy, that there was never a problem until you started making one, they are not just describing your history, they are slowly rewriting it inside your own head. And because you cannot tell the difference between a true memory and a well-told suggestion, you begin to doubt your own record of your own life. That is the deepest danger here. It is not only that they control your present, it is that they can reach back and revise your past until you are no longer sure what really happened. You start to wonder if you imagined the coldness, the criticism, the loneliness. You start to think, maybe I really was happy. Maybe I am the one inventing problems. And once a person no longer trusts their own memory, they will accept almost any version of reality they are handed. That is the end game of nostalgia gaslighting. A person so unsure of their own history that they outsource the truth of their life to the very person harming them. Let me put a name to how this feels from the inside. It feels like standing in a room where someone keeps moving the furniture and telling you it was always there. You know something is off. You cannot prove it. And the not being able to prove it is the worst part. So here is the defense, and it is a deep one. You have to give your brain permission to hold two truths at the same time. It was real, and it is over. It was good, and it still hurts now. They loved me then, and they are controlling me now. Both. Your mind will fight you on this, because it wants one clean story. But real life is not one clean story. Real people are contradictions. When you let a memory be beautiful and finished at the same time, the leash goes slack, because a memory can only pull you if you believe you have to get back to it. Say this to yourself and mean it. I do not have to return to the good times to prove the good times were real. They were real, and I still get to live in today. Now, you might expect that the people most protected from this would be the strong ones, the loyal ones, the ones with the biggest hearts and the longest memories. But it is the exact opposite. The very best of you are the easiest to catch this way. In the next part, I am going to show you why your finest qualities are the ones being used against you and how to keep them without being controlled by them. Here is a hard truth. Nostalgia gaslighting does not prey on your weakness. It preys on your best qualities. And once you understand that, you can stop asking what is wrong with me and start asking what is right with me that they are exploiting. Think about who falls hardest for this. It is the loyal ones. The ones who keep their promises. The ones with long, tender memories who never forget a kindness. The ones who believe that love should last, that you do not throw people away, that history means something sacred. These are not flaws. These are the marks of a deep and faithful heart. And that is exactly why the manipulation lands. You cannot weaponize a memory against someone who does not treasure memories. The tactic only works on people who care. Let me show you a woman named Anna. Anna is the friend everyone relies on. She remembers your birthday, your sister's surgery, the coffee order you mentioned once 3 years ago. She has a friend, B, who has grown selfish and sharp over the years, who takes and rarely gives. And every time Anna finally gets tired, finally thinks about stepping back, B says, "But we have been friends since we were 9. Remember when we ran away from home for one whole afternoon? Remember when I held your hand at the funeral?" And Anna melts. Because Anna is loyal. Because Anna remembers. Her loyalty, which is a beautiful thing, becomes the rope BA ties her with. Do you see it? A person with a shallow heart would have walked away years ago. It is Anna's depth that traps her. And this is what I need you to really absorb tonight. The manipulator is not stronger than you. They are simply using your virtues as their tools. Your loyalty, your gratitude, your good memory, your fear of being someone who gives up. They have learned that they can hold up any golden moment from your past, and your own good heart will do the rest of the work for them. They barely have to push. There is also a specific kind of person who is most vulnerable, and it might be you. It is the person who was taught early that love is proven through endurance, that good people stay, that family is forever no matter what, that walking away means you are cold, selfish, ungrateful. If that was drilled into you as a child, then nostalgia gaslighting slips past every gate you have because it speaks the exact language you were raised on. It says, a good person does not leave the good times behind, and the child in you, the one who wanted so badly to be good, obeys. Let me name the pain in this, because it deserves to be named. When your best qualities are used against you, you start to distrust your own goodness. You begin to think that maybe your loyalty is stupid. Maybe your soft heart is a defect. Maybe you should become cold and hard so no one can use you again. And that is the real theft. Not just your peace, but your faith in your own kindness. A person can walk away from years of this and become someone who no longer lets anyone in, because the last person who got in used the door as a weapon. That is the deepest wound of all, and I do not want it for you. Let me ask you something directly. Have you ever been called too sensitive, too intense, too much, right at the moment you are asking for something completely fair? Because there is a reason for that timing. When the tender approach fails, the labels come out, and the labels are aimed straight at the qualities that make you hard to control. Your sensitivity, which is really your ability to feel the truth of a situation, gets renamed as a flaw. Your intensity, which is really your refusal to pretend things are fine, gets renamed as drama. They are not describing you, they are training you. They are teaching you to be ashamed of the exact instincts that would set you free. And here is a cruel twist that catches the strongest people. The more capable you are, the more this gets used on you. If you are the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who has always been able to handle things, then the manipulator leans on that too. They say, you are so strong, you can take it. You always understand. Do not be like everyone else who just gives up. Your strength becomes the reason you are asked to endure what no one should endure. Your competence becomes the reason your needs get moved to the back of the line again and again, until you cannot remember the last time anyone asked what you needed. Feel what that does over years. You become the person who holds everyone and is held by no one. You become fluent in everyone else's feelings and a stranger to your own. And because you are so good at carrying it, no one, including you, ever notices how heavy it has become. The people who break under this are not the weak ones. They are the ones who were strong for far too long with no one strong for them. So here is the defense, and it is different from the others, because this one is about your relationship with yourself. Your loyalty is not the problem. Your memory is not the problem. Your kind heart is not the problem. The problem is that you have been aiming those beautiful qualities at someone who does not honor them. The answer is not to become cold. The answer is to become discerning, to keep your loyalty and get very clear about who has earned it, to keep your soft heart and put a wise guard at the gate. Say it like this: my loyalty is a gift I give, not a debt anyone can collect. And there it is again, the truth at the center of all of this. A beautiful memory is not a debt, it is a gift, and a gift is never something you owe. Your history with someone does not obligate you to your own suffering. You can honor every real good moment and still decide you will not be controlled by it. Honoring the past and being imprisoned by it are two completely different things. Now here is where it gets closest to home and maybe closest to your own life. Because nowhere does nostalgia gaslighting live more powerfully than inside romantic love. The honeymoon phase, that first golden season, becomes the most effective weapon of all. In the next part, I am going to show you exactly how the beginning of a love story gets turned against its own middle, and how to tell the difference between real repair and a golden trap. Let me talk about love, because this is where nostalgia becomes a cage with silk bars. Every real relationship has a beginning that feels like magic. The early days, the season when everything was new and electric, when they looked at you like you were the answer to a question they had been asking their whole life. That season is real and it is precious. But in a controlling relationship, that beginning does not stay a memory. It becomes a standard, a whip, and a hostage all at once. Here is how it works. In a healthy relationship, the honeymoon phase is a seed. Love grows past it into something deeper, calmer, and more solid. But in a manipulative one, the honeymoon phase becomes a museum. They keep taking you back to it. Look how in love we were. Look how happy you were. And every time the present relationship falls short, which it always does because no one lives in the honeymoon forever, they use that first season to prove that the fault is yours. You stopped trying. You changed, you let the magic die, as if love is a fire only you were responsible for keeping. Meet a couple, Leah and Marcus. In the first year, Marcus was attentive, romantic, present. Then, slowly, he pulled back. He got colder, more distant, more critical. When Leah finally says she is unhappy, that she misses feeling loved, Marcus does not comfort her. He says, "You are the one who changed. In the beginning you never nagged me. In the beginning you were fun. I fell in love with that girl. Where did she go?" And Leah, desperate, starts trying to become the girl from the beginning again. She softens her complaints. She stops asking for what she needs. She performs the honeymoon. And Marcus gets exactly what he wanted. A partner who has stopped asking him for anything. Feel the cruelty in that. He grew cold, and she got blamed for the temperature. He stopped loving her the way he used to, and he convinced her that she was the one who killed the love. The beginning of their story, the most beautiful part, got turned into the exact tool that keeps her small. And here is the part that breaks my heart. Leah is not chasing Marcus. She is chasing the version of herself she was when she was first loved. She wants to feel that alive again. So she will do almost anything, endure almost anything, for one more taste of the beginning. That is the honeymoon weaponized. It works because that early love flooded your body with something real. New love lights up the brain like almost nothing else, and your body remembers that high. So when they invoke it, they are not just reminding you of a good time, they are reminding your nervous system of the best it ever felt, and dangling the possibility that you could feel it again if only you were good enough, soft enough, quiet enough. It is a promise that never gets kept, because the goal was never to bring the honeymoon back. The goal was to keep you reaching for it. There is a specific line to watch for in romance, and it is this: "I just want us to go back to how we were." It sounds like hope. It sounds like they want to heal. But listen closely to who has to do the changing. In real repair, both people look at the present together and build something new. In nostalgia gaslighting, going back always means you going back, you shrinking to fit the old shape, you swallowing your growth so the relationship can pretend nothing has changed. Going back is not a plan for the future. It is a demand that you undo yourself. So how do you tell the difference between someone who genuinely misses the good times and someone weaponizing them? Here is the test, and it is simple. A genuine partner brings up the past to build the future. A manipulator brings up the past to avoid it. When you say there is a problem now, a genuine partner says, "You are right, how do we fix it?" A manipulator says, "But remember when there was no problem," as if remembering could feed you. One of them stays in the room with your pain. The other one runs backward and calls it love. Let me show you the slow version, because it rarely happens all at once. In the beginning, they gave you the honeymoon freely, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Then, at some point, the giving stopped. But the story about the giving did not. They kept talking about how romantic they were, how attentive, how loving, long after the behavior had disappeared. And you, confused, kept waiting for the words to turn back into actions. But they never had to, because the memory was doing the work the behavior used to do. You were being fed on the story of love, while the love itself quietly left the table. And you did not leave, because who leaves someone who was once so wonderful? Nobody. That is the whole point. The wonderful beginning is the reason you stay through the terrible middle. There is a specific ache I want to name here, because you may be living inside it right now. It is the ache of loving someone who no longer exists. The person you fell for, the one who was warm and present and kind, may be genuinely gone, replaced by someone colder who wears the same face. And you keep reaching for the one who is gone, staying loyal to a ghost, waiting for them to come back. And every time you get close to leaving, they show you a flash of the old warmth, just enough, and you think, there they are still in there. But that flash is not a return. It is bait. It is the ghost being used to keep you fed on hope while the real person keeps taking. That is the hardest love to leave, not because it is good, but because it once was. And the once was keeps you kneeling at an empty altar. Here is your defense for love, and hold it close. You are not required to become who you were to be worth loving now. You are allowed to have grown. The person you are today, with your new needs and your firmer boundaries and your harder questions, is not a betrayal of the person they fell for. She is what that person became. He is who that boy grew into. Real love makes room for who you are becoming. It does not demand you stay frozen at the moment you were easiest to keep. Now, romance is the loudest place this lives, but it is not the deepest. The deepest place, the one wired into you before you could even speak, is family. Because with family, the golden memories go all the way back to your first breath, and the debt they claim you owe was supposedly signed before you could talk. In the next part, we go there, into the house you grew up in, and I will show you how the oldest love becomes the oldest chain. Now we go to the hardest room in the house, family. Because if nostalgia gaslighting is a leash anywhere, it is here that the leash is oldest and shortest. With a partner or a friend, at least the history has a beginning you can remember. With family, there is no before. The good memories reach all the way back to your childhood, to birthdays and holidays, and the smell of a certain meal, to a time when they were your whole world and you were completely dependent on them. That depth is exactly what makes the manipulation so powerful. They are not just invoking a memory, they are invoking the years when you had no choice but to need them. Listen for the family version of the words. After everything we did for you, we gave you everything. Do you know what we sacrificed? Remember the vacations, the school, the roof over your head. This is the thanks we get. We are your family. We are the only ones who will ever really love you. Each of these takes real parental care, and there often was real care, and turns it into a bill that can never be paid. It says, "We loved you as a child, therefore you may never disappoint us as an adult." Your entire childhood becomes a loan with interest. Here is a scene you may recognize. A woman named Grace grew up in a home that looked warm from the outside. There were good times, real ones. Christmas mornings, a mother who could be tender, a father who sometimes showed up. But there was also control, criticism, and a love that came with conditions. Now Grace is 35, and every time she tries to set a boundary, to say, "I need you to stop commenting on my body," or "I cannot come to every event," her mother's voice cracks and she says, "After everything I did for you, I carried you, I gave up my whole life for you children, and this is how you treat me." And Grace, a grown woman, crumbles like a scolded child, apologizing for the crime of having a limit. Look at what the memory does there. It time travels Grace backward. For one moment she is not a capable adult with the right to her own life. She is a small girl who owes her mother everything and must not be ungrateful. That is the terrible magic of family nostalgia gaslighting. It reaches past the adult you have become and speaks directly to the child you used to be, the one who was taught that love could be lost, that being good meant being obedient, that a boundary might get you abandoned. And that child still lives in you, and that child still obeys. The psychology here is called the loyalty bind, and it is brutal. As a child, your survival literally depended on your family's approval. Your brain wired itself, in your earliest years, to treat their disapproval as a threat to your life, because once upon a time it was. So when a parent invokes the debt of your childhood, it does not just make you feel guilty. It triggers an ancient alarm that says, if they withdraw their love, you will not survive. You are an adult who can pay your own rent, and yet your body reacts like a toddler about to be left in a parking lot. That is not weakness. That is biology, and they are pulling the oldest string there is. And there is a particular cruelty when the good memories are used to erase the bad ones. Many people grew up in homes that were both loving and harmful, both warm and wounding. And when that adult child finally tries to talk about the harm, the family holds up the warmth as proof the harm never happened. But we were happy. Look at the photos. Everyone is smiling. You had a good childhood. As if a few good memories could cancel the real wounds. As if a smiling photo were the whole truth of a life. This is where nostalgia gaslighting does its deepest damage, because it does not just control your present, it rewrites your past and makes you doubt your own history. There is a particular version of this that happens between siblings and across whole families, and it is worth naming because it can feel like the whole world is against you. When one person in a family finally starts to name a real problem, the rest often close ranks around the golden story. They say, "Why are you bringing up the past? We were a happy family. Why do you have to ruin everything?" The family has an agreed-upon memory, an official history where everything was fine, and your truth threatens that history. So you become the problem, Not because you are wrong, but because you are the one refusing to keep the pretty story intact. And there are few things lonelier than being the only person in a family willing to remember what actually happened. Let me show you a young man named Daniel. Daniel's older brother was harsh with him for their whole childhood, and their parents looked away. As an adult, when Daniel finally speaks about it, the entire family recites the same lines. But you two were so close. Look how you played together. You are exaggerating, it was not like that. And Daniel, outnumbered, starts to wonder if he made it all up. This is what family nostalgia gaslighting does at scale. It is not one person editing your memory. It is a whole group agreeing on a version of the past. And when everyone around you insists the furniture was always there, it takes enormous strength to keep trusting what you saw. And here is why families do this, and it matters. Most of the time, it is not evil, it is protection. Admitting the harm would mean admitting they failed to stop it, or that they caused it. And that is unbearable. So the golden memory is not just a weapon against you, it is a shield they are hiding behind from their own guilt. Knowing that does not make it hurt less, but it can help you stop taking their denial as proof you are wrong. So here is the defense, and it is tender because family is tender. You are allowed to be grateful and free at the same time. Gratitude for what your family truly gave you does not obligate you to accept mistreatment forever. Those are two separate accounts. You can say in your own heart, thank you for what was real and good, and also, I am an adult now, and I get to have limits, and having limits is not betrayal. You do not have to choose between honoring your parents and honoring yourself. That choice is the false one they hand you. Refuse it. And once more because you need it most in this room of all rooms. A beautiful memory is not a debt, it is a gift, and a gift is never something you owe. Your parents' love, in whatever real form it took, was supposed to be a gift they gave freely, because that is what love is. The moment it becomes a bill collected against your adult freedom, it stops being love and becomes a transaction, and you are allowed to notice the difference. By now you might be realizing that this has been happening to you, and you never had a word for it. You just knew that certain conversations left you foggy, guilty, and unsure of your own mind. That fog is not random. Your body has been sending you signals the whole time, and you were taught to ignore them. In the next part, I am going to teach you to read the warning signs, the exact feelings in your body that tell you a memory is being used as a weapon, even before your mind catches up. Let me teach you to listen to your body. Because your body knew before you did. Nostalgia gaslighting is so quiet, so wrapped in warmth, that your thinking mind often misses it completely. You walk away from the conversation unable to explain what went wrong. But your body is not fooled. Your body keeps a record your mind is too polite to read, and once you learn its signals, you get an early warning system that never lies to you. Here is the first sign. The fog. You go into a conversation with a clear point. You know exactly what you want to say. Then they bring up the good old days, and somewhere in the middle you lose the thread completely. You cannot remember what you came to say. Your thoughts go slow and thick, like walking through water. You end up agreeing to things you did not mean to agree to. That fog is not you being scattered. That fog is your nervous system getting flooded, pulled between the memory they are offering and the truth you are trying to hold. When your head goes foggy the instant someone gets nostalgic, pay attention. The fog is the fingerprint. Here is the second sign. The guilt that arrives from nowhere. One moment you are standing up for a completely reasonable need. The next, you are drowning in guilt, feeling selfish, cruel, ungrateful, as if you have done something monstrous by simply asking for something. Ask yourself, honestly, did I actually do anything wrong, or did I just decline to disappear? Manufactured guilt has a specific flavor. It is sudden, it is heavy, and it does not match the size of what you actually did. When guilt shows up wildly out of proportion to your so-called crime, someone put it there. Here is the third sign, and it is a strange one. Homesickness for a person who is standing right in front of you. You are with them, and yet you ache with missing them. You feel a deep, sad longing for how things used to be, even as they are actively hurting you right now. That aching nostalgia, triggered on cue, is often not coming from you. It is being installed. They point you at the golden past, and your body floods with longing, and that longing overrides the perfectly good reasons you had to be upset. When you feel homesick for someone who is right there, ask who benefits from your homesickness. Here is the fourth sign: the shrinking. You notice that after these conversations you have made yourself smaller. You dropped the request, you softened the boundary, you apologized for your feelings, you agreed to try harder, to go back, to be more like you used to be. If you keep leaving conversations having given away another piece of yourself and never gaining anything, that is a pattern, and the pattern is the proof. Let me put it in a scene. A man named Tom notices that every Sunday call with his father leaves him wrung out, low and vaguely ashamed, and he cannot say why. Nothing dramatic happens on the calls. There is no yelling, but he starts to pay attention to his body, and he realizes that the moment his father says "remember when," his stomach tightens and his chest goes heavy. His body had been ringing an alarm for years. He just never learned it was an alarm. He thought it was normal to feel sick after talking to someone who loves you. It is not normal. And the day he realized that, everything started to change. Here is why your body is more honest than your mind in these moments. Your thinking brain can be talked into anything. It can be argued with, confused, guilted, and charmed. But your body runs on a deeper, faster system that reads safety and threat before a single word is understood. It feels the manipulation as a kind of danger because it is one, and it responds with tension, nausea, heaviness, and that fog. Your mind will make excuses for the person. Your body will not. Your body just tells you the truth of how it feels to be near them, and that truth is data you are allowed to trust. Here is a fifth sign, and it is one people almost never connect to the real cause: exhaustion. Not sleepy tired, but a deep, bone-level weariness that comes over you after certain conversations, or even after just thinking about certain people. There is a reason for it. Holding two contradictory realities in your head at the same time, the golden story they insist on, and the painful truth you actually feel, takes an enormous amount of energy. Your mind is doing constant, invisible labor trying to reconcile what cannot be reconciled. That is why you feel wrung out. It is not laziness. It is the cost of carrying a lie you did not tell, and a truth you are not allowed to say. And here is a sixth sign, subtle but telling: rehearsing. If you find yourself, hours or days before seeing someone, practicing what you will say, softening it, preparing your defense, bracing for the memories they will bring up, that rehearsal is data. You do not rehearse for safe people. You rehearse for people you have learned, at a body level, will not simply hear you. The fact that you have to prepare for a conversation like it is a courtroom tells you what kind of room it really is. Let me give you one clean rule to carry, because signs are only useful if you act on them. Trust the pattern over the moment. Any single foggy conversation could be a fluke, but if the same heaviness, the same guilt, the same shrinking, the same exhaustion shows up again and again with the same person, that is not a mood, that is a message. Your body is not overreacting. Your body is keeping the record your mind keeps being talked out of, and the record is admissible. It counts. So here is the defense, and it might be the most practical one in this entire hour. Start treating your body as your instrument. Before you decide what you think about an interaction, notice what you felt in it. Ask 3 questions. Did I leave that conversation more clear or more foggy? Did I leave it feeling more like myself or less? Did the guilt I feel actually fit what I did? Your answers will tell you more than any argument. Because a healthy interaction, even a hard one, tends to leave you clearer and more solid. Manipulation leaves you foggy and smaller. The feeling in your body is the tell. And when the fog comes, do not try to fight it in the moment. You will lose. Because the fog is designed to make you lose. Instead, buy time. Say, I need to think about this, and I will come back to it. Then physically leave. Get out of the memories field, because I promise you this, The clarity you cannot find while they are talking will come flooding back the moment you are alone. And that returning clarity, that sudden ability to see exactly what happened once you are out of the room, is itself the proof that something in the room was clouding you. That moment of clarity, when the fog lifts and you finally see the whole shape of it, is one of the most important moments of your life. But it is also fragile and dangerous, because the pull to go back is strongest right when you have started to break free. In the next part, I am going to walk you through that moment of waking up and exactly how to respond in real time when the memory gets used against you, so that you never lose your footing again. There is a moment I want to prepare you for, because when it comes, it will shake you. It is the moment you wake up. It usually arrives quietly. You are washing dishes, or driving, or lying awake at 2 in the morning, and suddenly you see the whole pattern at once. You see that every time you named a problem, they answered with a memory. You see that you have spent years apologizing for feelings you had every right to have. You see that the golden past has been used again and again to keep you from asking for a better present. And it takes your breath away, because you cannot believe you did not see it before. It was so obvious. It was right there the whole time. Let me tell you what that moment feels like, so you are not frightened by it. It often feels like grief, because you are not just realizing you were manipulated. You are realizing that some of what you thought was love had control woven through it, and that hurts. You may feel foolish, furious, and heartbroken all at once. You may grieve the relationship you thought you had. You may even miss the fog, because at least the fog was familiar. All of that is normal. Waking up is not a clean, triumphant thing. It is messy and it aches, but it is the doorway to your freedom, and I need you to walk through it even though it hurts. Here is a woman named Elena at the moment of clarity. For 15 years, her husband used their early love to keep her small. And one ordinary Tuesday, as he said his usual line, "Remember how happy you used to be," something in her simply went still. And instead of the guilt, a quiet thought rose up. "I was happy, and I am not now, and both of those are true. And you keep using the first one to make me swallow the second." She did not say it out loud, not yet. But in that instant, the leash went slack, because she had finally separated the memory from the demand. The memory was hers to keep. The demand was his to lose. So let me give you exactly how to respond in real time, the next time it happens, because knowing is not enough. You need words in your mouth ready to go. When someone answers your present concern with a golden memory, do 3 things. First, acknowledge the memory without surrendering to it. You can say gently, "Yes, we did have good times, and I treasure them." You are not denying the past. Denying it would only make you look cruel and hand them more power. You agree with the true part, warmly, and you keep your feet planted. Second, refuse the swap. This is the key move. You say, "And I am not talking about back then. I am talking about right now." You gently, firmly walk the conversation back to the present, every single time they run to the past. You become a calm, unmovable wall that always returns to today. And that is not being right, and I still need us to look at this. And I hear that you miss it, and this is about now. You do not have to raise your voice. You just have to refuse to be moved off the present. Repetition is your friend here. Say the same calm sentence as many times as it takes. Third, name the pattern if it continues. If they keep dragging you backward, you can gently say it out loud. "I notice that every time I bring up a problem, we end up talking about the past instead. I would like to stay with what is happening now." Naming the move softly and without accusation strips it of its power, because this tactic only works in the dark. The moment it has a name and you have said it, it loses most of its grip. Here is what will happen when you do this, and I want you ready for it. The tenderness will often vanish, because the nostalgia was doing a job, and you just refuse to be moved by it. What is underneath may be anger, coldness, or a sudden new accusation. They may say you have become hard, that you have changed, that you are cruel now. Do not flinch. That escalation is not proof you did something wrong. It is proof the tactic stopped working, and they are reaching for the next tool. A person who was genuinely just missing the good times would meet your calm return to the present with relief, not rage. Let me warn you about something that happens right after clarity, so it does not knock you down. The relationship often gets more intense, not less. When they feel you slipping, when the memory stops working the way it used to, many people do not give up. They double the dose. Suddenly there are more reminders of the good times, more old photos, more stories, more tenderness turned up to full volume. It can feel like they finally heard you, like the warmth is real again. But watch the timing. If the flood of sweetness arrives only after you started waking up, it is not a change of heart. It is a stronger version of the same tool, aimed at putting you back to sleep. The love bomb and the nostalgia bomb are cousins, and they show up together right when you are closest to free, and you will feel the pull to go back hard. You will miss them. You will miss the good version. You will tell yourself that maybe you were too harsh, that maybe if you just tried once more it would be different. That missing is real, and it does not mean you were wrong. You can grieve someone and still know you cannot go back to being controlled by them. Both of those can live in you at once. Missing the past is not a command to return to it. It is just the heart doing what hearts do, and you are allowed to feel it without obeying it. And here is your defense at the moment of clarity, the deepest one. Do not gaslight yourself back to sleep. This is crucial. The pull to return to the fog will be enormous, because the fog was comfortable and clarity is lonely. You will be tempted to tell yourself you are overreacting, that it is not that bad, that you are the problem after all. That is the old programming trying to pull you back under. When you feel it, hold on to the simple thing you saw. My feelings today are real. The good memories are also real, and no one gets to use the second to erase the first. Write it down if you have to. Keep the proof of your own clarity somewhere your foggier self can find it, because clarity is only the beginning. Seeing the pattern is not the same as being free of it. Once you have woken up, you have to do the hardest and most beautiful thing of all. You have to build a boundary that honors what was real without being enslaved by it, and then you have to heal in a way that keeps your heart open. In this last part, I am going to show you how to do exactly that, how to walk free without going cold, and how to make sure you never wear this leash again. So here we are, at the last and most important part. How do you walk free without turning to stone? How do you keep your soft heart, your good memories, your loyalty, and still never let them be used as a cage again? Let me start with what freedom is not. Freedom is not deciding the good times were fake. That is the mistake so many people make when they finally wake up. They swing to the far side and declare that all of it was a lie, that they never loved, that none of it was real, that they were fools from the start. I understand the urge. It feels safer to burn the whole past than to admit it was both real and misused. But you do not have to set fire to your own history to get free. The memories were real. Your love was real. The good moments happened. You get to keep every one of them. Freedom is not erasing the past. Freedom is refusing to let anyone bill you for it. This is the whole heart of what I have been telling you tonight. A beautiful memory is not a debt. It is a gift, and a gift is never something you owe. Say it one more time in your own chest and let it settle, because this is the sentence that sets you free. The good times were a gift you were part of creating. They belong to you as much as to anyone, and a gift, a true one, comes with no invoice. No one can hand you the good times as a bill and demand you pay with your silence, your shrinking, your endless second chances. The moment they try, they have shown you the gift was never really given. It was only ever lent at a price. Now let me show you how to build the boundary. A boundary against nostalgia gaslighting is not a wall against the person. It is a wall around the truth. It sounds like this in your own words. I love our memories, and I will not let them be used to stop me from talking about now. That single sentence does everything. It honors the past, and it protects the present in the same breath. You are not attacking them. You are simply refusing to let a beautiful thing be turned into a weapon. And you hold that line calmly, again and again, no matter how many times they reach for the golden past. Here is a scene of what freedom actually looks like. Remember Grace, the woman whose mother said, "After everything I did for you." Grace did not go cold. She did not cut off the past. Instead, one day, quietly, she said, "Mum, I am so grateful for what you gave me, and I am still not going to change my plans because you are upset." Both of those are true, and I can hold both. Her mother tried the old line again. Grace just repeated, calmly, "I love you, and my answer is the same. No fight, no cruelty. No burning down the history, just a grown woman who finally understood that gratitude and freedom can live in the same body. That is the goal. Not war, not ice. Just a person who cannot be moved off the truth by a memory. Now let me talk about healing, because you will need to heal, and how you heal matters. The wound of nostalgia gaslighting is a specific one. It taught you not to trust your own mind, because your own good memories kept getting used against your own real feelings. So healing means slowly rebuilding trust with yourself. It means learning to believe your present feelings, even when they contradict a pretty picture from the past. It means telling yourself over and over, "My perception is allowed to be real. What I feel now counts, even if we were happy then." Every time you honor a present feeling instead of burying it under an old memory, you rebuild a piece of the self-trust that was taken from you. And here is how you make sure you never wear this leash again, with anyone. You learn the difference, in your bones, between people who use the past to build with you and people who use the past to bind you. A healthy person brings up the good times to add warmth to the present. Their nostalgia opens the door to today. A manipulator brings up the good times to escape the present. Their nostalgia slams the door on today. Watch which way the memory points. Does it walk you forward into a real conversation? Or does it drag you backward, away from the thing you needed to say? Once you can feel that difference, no one can trick you again, because you will notice the direction of the pull before you get pulled. Let me leave you with the deepest reframe of all. For so long you may have believed that your ability to be moved by memory was a weakness, a soft spot that everyone kept exploiting. I want you to hear this. It is not a weakness. Your capacity to be touched by the past, to treasure what was beautiful, to feel love across years, is one of the finest things about being human. People with no memory and no loyalty are not free, they are empty. You are not too soft. You were simply undefended, and now you are not. Now you can keep every bit of your beautiful, tender, faithful heart, and put a wise and steady guard at the gate, so carry this out of here with you. The past is yours. Every real laugh, every true tender moment, every golden day, they are yours to keep and yours to cherish. And no one, no partner, no parent, no friend, no boss, can turn them into a bill you must pay with your present life. When someone reaches into your best memories to make you smaller today, you will see it now. You will feel the fog and name it. You will honor the memory and refuse the demand. You will hold both truths at once, that it was real and that you still get to live in today. Because a beautiful memory is not a debt, it is a gift. And a gift is never something you owe. Before you go, thank you. Thank you for staying with something this heavy for this long. It says a great deal about you that you are willing to look this closely at your own life. If this gave you even one word for something you have felt for years, please take a second to like this video, because it genuinely helps these words reach someone else who needs them tonight. Subscribe if you want to keep learning how to protect your peace and your mind. And I would love to hear from you, so tell me in the comments, has someone ever used a happy memory to keep you quiet? Share your story if you feel comfortable. Someone reading it may finally feel less alone. Take care of your heart. I will see you in the next one.